We're now moving on to our unified session. This is smarter tools and faster builds.
That's right. Come and learn all about my favorite topic, developer experience. You'll discover the latest updates, including the Docusign Model Context Protocol and MCP server and a unified SDK, all designed to make scaling your solutions secure and fast.
All right, get that energy up. Please join us in welcoming Ahmed Kamal and Marina Lin to the stage. Thanks.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the main room. Today we'll be talking about smarter tools and faster builds. So I'm Marina Lin. I'm the UX Research Manager here at Docusign for UX and DevX. And this is Ahmed Kamal, and he's our Principal Engineer for DevX. So quick safe harbor slide. You've been seeing them all day. Just keep in mind we'll be making some forward-looking statements. And here's a brief agenda of what we're going to cover. So I'll talk about some of the research that my team has been doing over the past year. And then I'll pass it over to Ahmed to demo exactly how we solve for some of the pain points that we've uncovered. And then we'll have some calls to action for you in the end as well. All right, so we in the UX research team, we spend our days thinking about the user experience. Now, the user experience can be our end customer experience, or it could be the experience of developers trying to use our tools. So your experience using our tools is just as critical as the products that we deliver to our customers. And over the past year, my team has conducted extensive research. We spoke with many developers across various industries, and our goal wasn't just to find flaws, it was to find the clearest, most impactful needs that you all may have, and then build solutions to meet them. And so I'm going to quickly outline 3 biggest needs that we uncovered, and then I'll hand it over to Ahmed to show you exactly how we're already solving for them. So the first major need that we identified, it centers around discovery and learning. So you told us that it's hard to find what I need. Now, in the past, you noted that the volume of documentation that we have is extensive. Now, that is a good thing, but the navigation sometimes is too cumbersome and it's not oriented around the problems that you're trying to solve for your customers. So we made finding crucial information quickly. And similarly, our own Docusign terminology, so things like envelope or signing ceremony, that often creates a learning curve as well. And our solution, and you saw this flashed by Dimitri during the keynote as well, it's a more discoverable developer center that is now oriented around end customer use cases. So we redesigned our navigation to reflect exactly how you think and how you work. We centralized our docs landing page to eliminate the scattered documentation field. And we updated our search experience so that you can find what you need faster. The second need that we identified, now this relates directly to the developer flow and focus, and this is around context switching. So we know that you use tools like GitHub and Postman and VS Code in your daily workflows. So when building integrations, you told us I have to leave my editor to get help. Now, this context switching as you're getting started, so you're jumping between your IDE and the Dev Center documentation, or our GitHub sample apps, or some reference implementations, all of this breaks your concentration and it introduces friction into the build phase. So it's better to have an agent that's kind of learning and bootstrapping versus you having to do it yourself. And so we also learned that you need seamless integration, key, and auth setup. It was just taking too much time to get to your first API. And so our solution is the new VS Code extension. It brings IKA and auth setup directly into your development environment. So you can now get boilerplate code, you can generate access tokens, and you can send an envelope, all without having to leave your editor. Now, my team uses a proprietary scoring of all our experiences. So we conduct research and we measure usability and usefulness and satisfaction, and we roll all that up into one overall score. So this particular feature, when we tested it, it actually scored a 90% out of 100 with all of our developers in the study finding it useful and usable. Now, this also mirrors the trends that we see in the industry. For example, there was a Stack Overflow survey in 2025 that found that 84% of developers are already using AI tools, and 50% of them use them daily. So agents are increasingly just a fact of your life, and by embracing them, we eliminated the need to leave your primary workspace when getting started, so you can easily focus on building faster. And so, by the way, when we say faster, how much faster is this IDE and agent-oriented approach? Well, when it comes to setting up integration keys and auth, our research session showed that while using our new AI-assisted tools, developers successfully generated their first token in about 8 minutes. And this was compared to 2.5 days of what it used to take in the manual flow. And we also saw faster time to first API calls. So 7 out of 8 developers in our session, they created and sent an envelope in about 18 minutes. This is compared to what used to take 1.5 days. So agents simply let you get to building faster. And finally, the need to address the complexity of managing integrations. So this is often referred to as the final mile of the journey. This is where the pressure is highest, right before launch. And you told us that managing different environments is a lot. So the current environment separates demo and production accounts. It forces you to manage 2 different logins and 2 tool sets. And this disjointed workflow, it leads to errors and immense friction during your critical go-live handoff. And speaking of go-live, we also know that you need a smooth go-live process without the unnecessary complications like the 20 API call requirement that used to hold things up. And so we've built the unified developer console. This serves as your single management experience for integration and extension apps. The solution manages the entire lifecycle from creation to testing to publishing to monitoring for both demo and production environments seamlessly. And best of all, this new prototype also performed really well in our recent usability studies. It earned a 91% overall score for usability, usefulness, and satisfaction. And developers found the core configuration workflow intuitive and clean. And one developer who actually manages 8 Docusign integrations, he told us that this unified model makes the demo to production switch easier and faster. And so to recap, we heard from you the need to accelerate discovery, eliminate context switching, and streamline the path to production. So now, to demo these improved experiences, I'll hand it over to Ahmed.
Well, thanks, Marina. And it's great to see how well these improvements tested. Let's start with a hypothetical and a very common one, actually, that happens to our customers. Shagnik mentioned that earlier today. Not in good order. Those are envelopes that are not in good order. We call that NIGO. And they're essentially envelopes that have been sent and signed, but were filled with incorrect data. And you only find out later about this. Now, how common do we think that is? Envelopes that are not in good order.
Should we do a quick survey?
I think so, yeah.
All right. So who thinks it's about 10%? Raise your hand. 20%? 30%? All right. Anyone think it's higher? I think they all know the answer.
Well, I know the answer. So the answer is for customers that haven't implemented any data verification systems, it's 30%, but it goes quite a bit higher depending on the use case, can go up to 60%. Now imagine the problem that causes. Your recipients, after you've gone through the redlining process, you've all agreed to what the text should be, they fill in the data, and then you either catch it right away after signature or later on in downstream systems. that just reduces the turnaround time, or rather increases the turnaround time, because now you got to resend it for signing. So what we're going to take a look at today in the first segment of the demo is how to reduce NIGO. And there's quite a few set of things here. We're going to take a look at the demo in general. They're separated into 3 categories: getting started, building, and managing. In the getting started, we're going to take a look at IAM use cases in Dev Center, bootstrapping integrations via agents, integration key setup and auth configuration in agents. Building, we're going to take a look at connected field extensions, migration to connected fields via agents, zero setup API Explorer, agreement API MCP tool, and managing private apps. All right, so we're going to go into the demo right now. And if we can switch over to my machine. We talked about NIGO. I know the problem, but I don't know how to solve it. So I'm first going to head over to Docusign's new Developer Center, and this is one of the wow moments that we described earlier today. You see here the new redesigned experience has a View Use Cases button. We click on that, and we see a few use cases down here. One of them is account opening. We're going to zoom into a little bit into this, and that use case is about learn how Docusign technologies can be used to automate the entire process of bank account opening, including user input validation, identity verification, ... And the key point that we're interested in is user input validation. So that seems like a valid use case for us to take a look at. We're going to click into it and see again another revamped page for the use cases. It describes the problem statement, how Docusign for developers can help, and some resources. We're going to click on how Docusign for developers can help, because that seems like exactly the flow that we want here. That section highlights a few technologies that Docusign has introduced over the last year. Some of them you've already heard quite a bit about today, like Maestro workflows, Maestro APIs, web forms, identity verification, and this one here that we're interested in is connected field extensions. And it says connected field extension is a technology that enables developers to write custom code that is used to validate any custom data that is part of an agreement against their system. That's exactly what we're looking for. We want to do custom validation on the data that's inputted because we want to reduce NIGO. So we'll click through there, and we'll end up on the connected fields page that describes more about the concept, how we get it implemented, and what it looks like. And fundamentally, this is an extension app, like you've seen demonstrated in the last Discover. And it's a new variant of it that we've introduced this year. And an extension app is the concept of allowing you to write your own custom code to be able to extend Docusign in different ways. And in this case, we're extending Docusign to allow it to do verification of data. So now that we understand the concept of connected fields and extension apps in general, where do we go from here? How do we build our own verification app? And so we're going to see this live today. Now, Docusign, us as developers, don't have a scaffolding mechanism yet to build extension apps. But what we do have is another wow moment, is a very exhaustive reference implementation of a connected field extension app. You can see it right here on GitHub. You'll be able to see it later today in the workshops. And you scroll a bit down to take a look at what does this connected field app really do. And as you scroll down further, you'll see here that this actually does data verification on VIN numbers. So it verifies whether or not a vehicle identification number is correct or not. So where do we go from here? We're going to use Claude Code to help us bootstrap a new extension app for verifying social security numbers. We're going to come here and take a look at our prompt. This is a prompt that I wrote specifically for Claude that tells it, hey, essentially take this reference implementation from GitHub. I want you to do a data verification or connected field validation app for SSN. And I gave it a couple of other requirements. specifically pointed it to the documentation. I also included specifically which actions I wanted to do, just to make sure it stays within the guardrails. And you'll see those actions a few times as we go through this demo. Get type names, get type definitions, and verify. And we'll take a look at what those means in a second. I'm also telling it that I want the app to be able to run locally on my machine for testing purposes. I want it to be able to deploy the app to Azure. And I want a basic manifest to be able to upload that to Docusign. We're going to copy this prompt, go to Claude, paste it, and enter. And then Claude's going to go and do its thing. Now, this is going to run for a while, probably 10, 15 minutes. We don't need to wait all that long because I already have it done. So let's take a look at what Claude actually generated for us based on this reference implementation. The first piece is it generated a new model for us. You look here on the left side, you see the Social Security model that it generated. It verifies 4 fields: the Social Security number, first name, last name, and date of birth. It also generated a bunch of verifications, but I mentioned 3 actions previously in the extension app. One of them was the verify action. And essentially, the verify action takes the input from the verification process, the data that's in your envelope, and verifies it against your own custom logic. And in this case, it's obviously verifying the format of the Social Security number, the name, and the date of birth. The interesting thing about the date of birth is that, this seems rather trivial, but it's very important. You want the date of birth to be sometime in the past, right? That seems reasonable. It's not somewhere in the future. And so that is exactly what this verification is doing. It's ensuring that the date that was part of this inputted data is in the past. So let's run this in our local machine right here. And we're going to say npm run dev. It boots up. We go to Postman. And we're going to run the first action that we discussed, get type names. And when you run that, it responds back with, hey, the only type I know about is SSN. And that's great. That tells our system that SSN is a recognized type that's exposed by this app. We're going to go to the next call, get type definition, which essentially, when Docusign asks the app, hey, tell me more about SSN, it responds back with a full-on definition of the SSN model, what fields are in there, what basic patterns are expected for validation, and so on. And then finally, the verify action, you can test that on your local machine. You call it with a payload that's in the future. It returns back clearly an error. You call it with a payload that's sometime in the past. I am not 5 years old, and it succeeds. So the app works, right? And so with agentic, vibe coding, with our reference implementations and documentation, we got to a functioning app within 10 to 15 minutes. Now, the app needs to be deployed somewhere for Docusign to be able to use it, and you need to also publish it to Docusign's dev console. As part of our prompt, we did ask Claude to generate a deployment mechanism to Azure functions, and it did that for us. So if we run here, run deploy, it will start doing that for us, and we won't go through the process, but it is deployed. And if we go back here into Azure, we'll see what that looks like. The connected field verification app with its 3 basic functions that we discussed is deployed as Azure functions down there below, and you can see them all available for us to execute. Now, as part of this deployable, you have all the data necessary to give Docusign to know how to call your app. And so we'll go back to our IDE and take a look at the manifest that was generated. And this manifest essentially calls out you as a publisher, what your privacy URL is, so port URL, so on and so forth, screenshots for your app. It defines what extensions your app implements with the functions that we just discussed. It also defines the functions that we deploy to Azure so that Docusign knows how to call them. You'll also notice that at the bottom here, and this is new, that this app is not for public consumption. When this app gets deployed to Docusign, it will not be available on the general marketplace, but this app will be only available to you or select accounts that you define, because this is only available for private distribution. So we'll take this, copy the manifest. head over to our developer console. And this process was demoed last year, so I won't really get into it. But I'll just want to show you the beginning of how this looks like. You come in here, you take your manifest, and you paste it. You can also test your app to make sure that everything works and test your connections. So what does this app actually do for us in eSign, in Docusign's main flows? We are going to go directly here and take a look. But actually, prior to that, I want to show you something else. I want to show you this app and how it looks like in App Center. If you take a look here inside Extension Apps, you will see very shortly that this app will show up as a box right here. But that's okay. We're just going to move on to eSign for now. We can come back to that later. All right, so if you go to agreements, or actually templates, and we take a look at the different templates that we have in eSign, just standard templates, we'll take a look at SSN template that I have that I created for this demo. And we'll click through, and we'll see this is this is what it would have looked like if you were to create a normal envelope prior, right? You have a text field right here for SSN. Customers will fill in some data. It might or not work. That's how you end up with NIGO. But what if we enhance that with the app that we just deployed? So we're going to click here on Custom Fields, on App Fields, taking a look at the app that I just published, the models in the app. This is the Social Security model that I just published. And I'm going to drag and drop one of these fields right here. And you see that when I drag and drop the fields, it actually dropped all 4 of them because they're all required. And you can also see here on the right side that these are connected to my extension app. That means that these are connected fields. Now, how does that act when you actually go and try to sign the envelope? Well, I already have an envelope that I sent myself. So we'll take a look at that quickly here. Click on Agreements. This is an envelope that was sent previously. I'm going to click Sign. And as this loads up here, you see this here is pre-filled with some information. This is earlier this year in July. Let's change the value. It starts doing the verification process, and well, my connection just expired. That's okay. But if you go here and put a future date, you will get a failure as well. So I can show you how this looks like here in App Center again, if this loads up. Unfortunately, that connection does not seem to be working right now. So we'll try to come back to that later. But that kind of wraps up the configuration and creation of extension apps in general, but in this case, connected fields, and how they can help us improve NIGO. So together, we saw how to navigate use cases, how to explore the new developer center. We also saw how to build and bootstrap an app for connected fields, deploy it, put it on Docusign, and exercise it in eSign.
All right, thanks, Ahmed. A lot of really great improvements. Or did you have another thing to say?
Yeah, so this should solve NIGO for most people, but we're going to go and take a look at some more things in a second here. But that's going to be, hopefully turning that 30% down to, I can't promise
0.
anything, but hopefully 0. Yeah. Okay, so the second part of the presentation, we're going to take a look at some new MCP, some new agentic flows, and some new improvements to our general developer experience. Let's go back to the laptop. The first thing we're going to do is, cool, that just transitioned. We're going to take a look at the documentation. Now, if I wanted to implement some connected field experiences from an integration app, now I showed you guys the extension app process, how to intercept these validations live. when the user is inputting data. But what if you wanted to add these connected fields to existing templates that your customers already had? So to do that, we probably have some APIs at Docusign. So let's ask our extension here if it can tell us any more information about Docusign documentation and connected fields. And so I gave it a prompt asking us to tell me more about connected field documentation. It's going to be using Docusign-specific MCP tool here to search Docusign's documentation. The important aspect here is this is a little bit more elaborate than asking a standard ChatGPT or LLM because it's hooking up into our tooling and it's giving you direct information up to date with the exact links that you need. And here you see that it tells us that we do have some APIs for updating existing envelopes with connected fields. Okay, but for me to be able to call into the APIs, I need to actually be able to get an integrator key, right? So the standard process for that is to go and generate an integrator key. Normally, you would go into the developer console or dev center to do that. But for now, let's first go to developers, console and center and see what we have. We're going to come here and take a look at the connected field APIs. And this is another wow moment. These are the ones that were directly linked from that output from Copilot. And you'll see two new things here. Other than the fact that these are new APIs, you also find on the right side request examples, request to responses, but also the ability to be able to exercise these live directly here. You no longer have to build your own app first to try them out. The Dev Center will generate tokens for you and run them for you directly on the spot. It will also show you responses and examples of those. So the first time I click try, it makes sure that I'm authenticated. I am. Now I'm going to say try it again. And it's going to come down here, and you'll see a response to this API. So this allows you to really understand how these APIs work directly from the page without having to go into any editors yet. Let's switch back to our editor, and let's generate an integrator key, because we want to build an app to migrate these existing templates. Let's ask our Docusign extension. This is another new improvement. You can go and download the Docusign Visual Studio extension. And at the bottom here, I'm saying add Docusign, and I'm calling a command. And I'm telling it, hey, I want to generate an integrator key. And it's going to guide me through this flow. It's going to ask me a few questions. I'm going to say, yes, I want to generate an integrator key through Copilot. I'm going to use some default information right here. I will let it generate an RSA key for me. I will open the consent in the browser. It's asking me to accept. I come here, I continue, and I say, please generate, just give me the token. So what just happened is we generated a brand new integrator key from Copilot. It gave me what the key was. It made an API call using that key to return my account information. And it gave me an example call that I can make in curl.
Now, wait a minute. This used to take days, right?
It did, but now it just took a few seconds and a few clicks. So one more last thing I want to show you, and this is really to explain the art of the possible. We talked about migrating these existing templates, the dozens or hundreds of them that your customers have, to use connected fields extension. You saw that we have APIs for them that you can exercise in Dev Center. You saw how to generate an integrator key. But what if you can just get Copilot to do that for you? So as a demo of what's possible here, we also created a tool in MCP that will do this for you. So here's the prompt. I am going to ask our AI here to first find all SSN templates in my account and make them use data verification. And it's going to ask me a few questions as it goes along. First, it gets my user information, finds a specific account that I want to use, and yes, that's the account I want to use. And it's listing all the templates that I have. And hey, look, it actually found a template that it should upgrade. I'm going to click Allow. Please go upgrade this template for me. And so now it's planning out its effort. It's going to do a few things. One, it's going to assess the template whether or not it actually contains the fields that it can upgrade. And 2 is going to go and discover what apps do I have available to me in my account. What extension apps can it actually upgrade to? It found an app for data verification. It's asking me that, or it's telling me that it wants to install it. And now it's retrieving all the tab information that I have, the ones that we dragged and dropped on the template earlier. And I'm letting it continue. And what's going to do now, hopefully, it's going to clone the template for me, because it's not going to modify your existing template. That might be a bit too risky for your, for your taste. So it's actually going to clone the template for us, and it's going to go and modify it with data verification. I'm going to switch directly here to show you what it actually did. And you can take a look at my templates, and this is the DV-enabled one that it just converted for me. And I didn't have to drag and drop the fields, and this one is ready and connected for data verification. If I click here, you see that it's connected to a data verification SSN app. And that's that for that part of the demo. So we took a look at a lot of things together today. We took a look at how to make the process faster, better, and we built a few apps together and updated a few templates.
All right, thank you all so much.